What is up, guys? This is Vikings Wire here today, and we're going to be talking about the Vikings offseason. And not only that, we're going to talk about the offseason, but I have a special guest with me here today.
Hey guys, this is Derek. I was with Brandon last year on a podcast video as well. We talked about off-season acquisitions and we talked about what the Vikings should do moving forward. This one's going to be a little bit different this year for this year's off-season talks. Because we're talking about Zimmer possibly being fired and possibly Spillman possibly being fired as well.
Parting ways.
Where are you at with where the Vikings are currently at right now as far as possibly Spillman and Zimmer both being gone after the season, or just Zimmer being gone and Spillman being promoted up to football president operations? What is your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think he should be up in the operation football and possibly looking at new gen manager.
Sure. I'm going to disagree with this. I think the Vikings should get a whole new set of eyes, in my opinion. Mainly because Spillman's been a team for about 11 years now. Mm-hmm. He's been a general manager for, 16 years is it now? 16, 15 years? About that?
About that, yeah.
So I think that they should just clean house completely and start whole brand new.
Start over.
Exactly.
Yes. Yeah.
Where I'm at with this, Zimmer's probably going to be gone. We know that.
Oh, for sure.
Zimmer's probably going to be gone Monday or
he'll,
Sunday night after the Bears game.
Oh, for sure.
What do you where are you at with players staying and moving on from the Vikings as well? Do you think?
Probably Anthony Barr.
Anthony Barr?
I would say he would be gone because this is his last year anyway, because he's supposed to be a free agent next season.
Right.
Off season.
And we talked about the last season too, but we talked about that. But Zimmer, I think, wanted to keep him because he was his first draft pick, obviously, and I think that's a big problem. And what Anthony Barr does, Anthony Barr's had an okay season. I wouldn't say he had a great season, but he's definitely had a season where he's been reliable in some key areas. I think the Vikings should move on from Anthony Barr just because they can save cap space with that money and use it for other positions that need. If the new general manager, if they do get a new general manager, decide to fix the offensive line, because that's our biggest need right now is offensive line.
We need somebody that can
huge problem.
We definitely need to have somebody that knows how to fix the offensive line.
For sure.
That knows how to build a team.
For sure. As far as, let's talk about Kirk Cousins here for a minute. There's a lot of speculation that I've heard around the league that he could possibly be traded to different teams. Where are you at with that right now, as far as him staying or possibly getting traded? Because I think they'll probably keep him for at least maybe another year or two.
His final year.
Just to see if it can work out with a new coach. Because the Vikings are getting a new coach. I really do think that.
Yeah, I agree.
Now, and Kirk Cousins has done everything the Vikings have asked him to do as well, which has been great. The Vikings have, Kirk Cousins have pretty much led them down every single drive this year in close games, like the Bengals, Cardinals. But the Vikings can never capitalize off of those big offensive drives in the final possession of the game. It's always like, Dalvin Cook fumbled or whatever, or Greg Joseph's missed kick in Arizona, or that awful game against the Cowboys, for instance. Kirk Cousins can lead. Kirk Cousins can lead a team to victories.
We've seen it. We've seen it in the past.
The question is can he be consistent enough to win games in the postseason if they make it next year?
Yes. That's
a big question I think a lot of Vikings fans are kind of asking. If not, then I think the big deal is you have to move on to Kirk Cousins and find a new quarterback that can try and build and get a young quarterback like a draft pick like Kenny Pickett or something, maybe like that. Kenny Pickett maybe won't be my number one option, but for sure a younger quarterback in the next couple of years to lead the Vikings to victories. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think that would be a good direction to go to.
Yeah, for sure. Let's talk about the offensive line for a minute. The offensive line has played in pretty decent games. They played decent all year. A lot of games they played bad against. I feel like the better teams, the teams that have a winning record. Where are you at with the offensive line, and can it be fixed exactly?
Yeah, I think they can definitely fix the offensive line depending on who they bring in for new offensive line coach.
Right.
And who knows? We need the Vikings to bring in somebody that knows how to fix the offensive line.
Right, exactly. And that's also, it's going to be part of the GM as well, if he wants to decide to fix it or not. The GM, Rick Spielman, has done, I think, a terrible job with the offensive line. He hasn't really addressed it. Some players have panned out on the offensive line. Darrisaw, I think, is fine where he's at.
Yes.
Another guy I want to talk about is Garrett Bradbury as well. Vikings have had Garrett Bradbury for now, what is it, 3 years now?
3 years.
3 or 4 years?
2019.
Whatever. Where do the Vikings go with him, you think? Do you think they move on from him as well and get a center in free agency or the draft? Or do you think that he stays for one more year? Because I think the Vikings have given plenty of chances to try and be a good center. And he has been decent. He was decent in his rookie season, but now it's just kind of like, and he's just kind of
falling apart.
Exactly. What are your thoughts on that right now?
I think they might have to move on from him. I mean, he has one more year of his rookie contract. So I think they would have to look for a new center, maybe in free agent or maybe in the draft, possibly.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, because he's not been great in, the Vikings offensive line. I feel like they played better against really bad teams, which is good. But we still need to see improvement against those bad teams as well. They still struggle against those bad teams, but it's not as noticeable as you see with the good teams like the Cowboys, Packers, and all the good defenses that they played all season.
Baltimore.
Exactly. What? Let's address. Let's talk about. Let's go back to the coaching staff a minute. What do you think? Do you see? Because in my opinion, I think that they're going to do a whole clean slate of the coaching staff. What is your opinion on that as well?
Yeah, I could totally agree on it. I can see a whole new staff coming in.
Now, we've talked about in the last couple days and weeks about head coaching candidates for the Vikings. You and Maya both said that we think Kellen Moore would be the number one pick for this franchise and for this team. Who else are you looking at for the Vikings to see what kind of a coach you want? Because obviously I want an offensive-minded coach.
Yeah.
And I want a veteran defense winner. I want an offensive-minded head coach. Where do you see the Vikings going? Because there's 3 guys. Our number one pick, both number one pick is Kellen Moore.
Yep.
Number 2 for me be Byron Leftwich.
And Brian Dabble.
Brian Dabble for me.
Dabble.
Yep. However you say his last name.
Or Eric from Kansas City.
Or Eric Bieniemy. Yeah. Yep. Where do you see the Vikings going with for a head coach? What direction do you think that they go in?
I think the direction they should go is with an offensive mind coach.
For sure.
I think that's the direction they needed to do.
Absolutely. I would 100% agree. Because we've seen when Leslie Frazier was here, he was a defensive-minded coach as well. Same thing kind of happened, but Leslie Frazier's defense wasn't as good as Mike Zimmer's, obviously, even though Leslie Frazier was a good, defensive coordinator, and he still is with the Bills, of course.
Yeah, he was with the Bills.
But unfortunately, sometimes you could be a really good head coach or a really bad head coach, but be a great defense coordinator like Leslie Frazier and Mike Zimmer, and that's why Buffalo's defense has had a lot more success than it has been in recent years because of Leslie Frazier and the Bills key players. What else do you have? What else are your thoughts? I want to know your thoughts on what you think that they should do this offseason. I've kind of touched on my things. What do you think? What do you want for them to do this offseason?
For this offseason, I wanted them to get an offensive mind coach like Kellen Moore. It has good. His playing callings with Dallas has been pretty good. So I would like to see him come in and I want to see him bring his good offense to our offense.
I agree. This is another concern I think for a lot of Vikings fans as well. Is that what if the Vikings hire Kellen Moore or an offensive-minded coach, and they go Cliff? That means what if they go what if they only get 4 wins? Because that could be a possibility. This happens as well. I've heard also speculation of the Vikings keeping Zimmer again for another year as well. The only reason I say that, and I think that they would, is because of his contract, because he has one deal on his contract, And same with Spillman. I think they could run it back. We don't know what's going to happen, of course. But they could run it back one more season, and then they're like, nope, this is it. We're done. Because the Vikings, if they fire Zimmer after this season, they'll have to pay out his 1 year his last year in his contract, and see with Spillman if they fired Spillman as well, and that'd be a lot of money to pay for the new coach and Zimmer's contract as well. So it's just kind of a we'll see thing. What happens after the Bears game, and I think we'll find out either Sunday night or we'll find out
Monday morning.
Monday morning will be the latest we find out. So. Let's talk about the draft for a minute. We talk about, who we want for the draft, right?
Yeah.
We've talked about quarterbacks, but we don't really want to talk about quarterbacks right now. Because I don't think the quarterback draft class is that good besides Bryce Young. What are your thoughts on this draft class? And, what do you know anything about this draft class or not really?
No, not really. I know a few players like Bryce Young, Sam Howell, Kenny Pickett, Jameson Williams out of Alabama, receiver.
Okay. Sure.
So I know quite a few.
Okay. What do you think, which direction, if they do hire an offensive-minded coach this offseason, or if they hire a coach at all, where do you think that they should go? Which draft position do you think that they should draft, do you think?
If they decided to move on from Kirk, depending on what the general manager is, I would say probably get a quarterback.
That's the other thing I want to talk about here also, guys, because, we were also talking about this as well. This could be a possibility of, going back to Kirk Cousins again, like you brought up, if they do fire Spillman or Zimmer, because Zimmer, I think, is gone, by the way, like I said. If they do bring in a new coach and new GM, they'll decide on Kirk, depending on, they might just say, because sometimes you have to listen to sometimes the owners have to listen to what the GM has to say to kind of figure out what you have to plan out and, restructure whatever.
Yeah.
If the new general manager and coach is like, well, Kirk has been great, he's been good, but we need to win games. And that's where I go back to, Kirk Cousins is a good quarterback, yes, stat-wise. But is he going to be a guy that can lead you into the playoffs and get playoff wins?
Or
that's
even
a question.
Into the Super Bowl.
Exactly. That's a question.
That's the biggest goal.
That's the question a lot of Vikings fans are asking right now, and I think that's what they, want to know. At this point, I don't think Kirk is the answer to win a Super Bowl. If the Vikings are looking to get in the playoffs, yes, then he's the answer to get in the playoffs. I believe so. But if we're talking about winning a Super Bowl, I think you have to move on from him. I know the fans love Kirk, and I'm not trying to be controversial here.
We all love Kirk.
But, if the goal is to win a Super Bowl, you have to think about trading Kirk. And I appreciate Kirk. I wouldn't mind if he stays a couple of years. I really wouldn't mind a couple of years of Kirk still. But it's going to be up, I think, if the Vikings do go towards a new general manager and a new coach, I think it's going to be up to them. Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. We're about 14 minutes into this video, by the way, folks. So we got a couple of other things we can talk about quick. Defense. What needs to improve on the defense this offseason? Obviously, we talked about probably Anthony Barr getting released. Yep. He really hasn't done much in 2021, I feel like. And the money he's making, I think they should just restructure him or just release him all at once. Because we can find a different linebacker to play for Anthony Barr.
Yeah.
Where do you think they go for defense-wise, as in free agency or in the draft?
I would say they would look for another pass rusher.
Like a younger pass rusher?
To play alongside DJ Wonnum and maybe Patrick Jones.
Okay, sure. My other question is, as I know a lot of fans are really talking about it, and this will probably be controversial too, owner guy, Danielle Hunter. What are your thoughts on him? Do you think because now I feel like he gets hurt more often than he hasn't in the last couple of years?
Yeah.
What do you decide to do with him? I mean, great player, but he's always going to hurt and the money he makes is a lot. If he gets hurt again, you think the Vikings say move on to him from him as well? Or do you think that they keep him and try to get him healthy and hopefully he doesn't get more injuries? Because in my opinion, I love Danielle Hunter. Danielle Hunter's been a great player for the Vikings, but sometimes, if he's getting hurt, because he's been hurt the last 2 seasons now with 2 neck injuries. 2 neck injuries. This last one was actually something else. I don't remember what it was. Last year of Jefferson's first year was a neck injury, and then something else this year, I think. I don't know if it was a neck injury. Do you remember what it was? Neck injury?
I think it was like a neck injury.
A neck injury, or it was something in his upper body, I felt like. Something in his upper body. Maybe it was his ankle. I don't remember what it was. But another question is, if he returns to the Vikings next year, plays a couple games, and gets hurt, the question is then, do you restructure his contract or do you move on from him completely? Because the money he's making, he should not be making that much money if he's starting to get hurt and injury prone now. And that's a scary thing that the Vikings have to consider as well, because we're talking about, him being injury prone. The big thing is you have to understand, okay, if he's getting hurt every year, then maybe we shouldn't be giving him all that money that we paid him. Maybe just restructure his contract a little bit or just get rid of him completely. It just kind of depends on what direction, the Vikings' new eyes will see and what we think is going to happen, man. I mean, because right now the Vikings' future is undecided, and until maybe Monday. Until Monday. We have no idea what's in store for the 2022 Minnesota Vikings. No idea at all. We have no idea. So it's going to be fans. I do think that the Vikings are moving on from Zimmer.
His time is done.
I think, we've given him a great 8 years, and it's been fun.
His best year was the 2017 season.
Yeah.
I would say that. I will give him credit on that.
But, it's been 8 years, man. I don't see him leading the team for the future. And we appreciate Zimmer for getting us back to somewhat of a relevant team, really.
Yeah,
because the Vikings have been, they've been good in the 2010, mid 2010 era. It's just that they haven't won a Super Bowl yet, and 2017 was probably the closest for Zimmer, and I think that's probably it.
And he's won us 2 NFC North titles.
Exactly.
I really wish he won us more, but.
So we will see what happens this offseason with Zimmer, and it's guys, this is gonna be a really interesting offseason. It's gonna be
It's gonna be interesting.
It's gonna be really interesting.
Just be excited, Vikings fans.
It's going to be, we're going to see what happens, because I think a lot of fans are just sick of conservatism playing.
Yes.
And that's what the Vikings are kind of doing.
They're tired of the 80s run play, whatever.
80s style football, and that's what I think Zimmer.
I think that's going to go away soon. We're gonna have a whole new playbook.
I hope so, man. And that's another thing I think Vikings fans need to be also concerned about. Because it's gonna take a while for the Vikings to learn the playbook if they fire Zim, because a lot of the veterans on Zim's defense, they know the playbook already. So that'd be another interesting topic to talk about as well in the future as well. It's gonna be just an interesting type. Of off season, I think fans are ready for change, and if everything is what was thinking what we're saying, we've seen all the rumors already on Instagram and everything. I think the Vikings are headed for a change, and I think that it's going to be, I think it's what is needed for this franchise. Final thoughts in the last couple minutes here.
There is one more topic we could talk about, is the offensive coordinator.
Yeah, let's talk about that for a minute. So we probably think, assuming Mike Zimmer gets fired, everyone else in the coaching staff is going to lose their job real quick, right?
Yeah.
Who do you want to see as an offensive coordinator? Because we have no idea who they're going to get for an offensive coordinator yet, and quite frankly, could he be good, and can he be good? Because we know that what we think from actually behind the scenes is Zimmer actually runs the offense, or he's telling his offense coordinators what to do. Do your damn job and tell your freaking offense coordinator to do whatever you want, or to do whatever he wants. It's his freaking offense. Zimmer shouldn't have to say what the offense coordinator does. The offense coordinator's job is to call plays, and I think that if the Vikings, if Zimmer wasn't so tight and controlling about his team, same thing for the defense. He controls Andre Patterson, I think, and at his son as well.
Yes.
And that's just not how it should be. Zimmer should be running let his offense coordinator run the offense. So offense coordinator, I'm undecided on because we don't know what they're going to do at offense coordinator if they fire Zim. And that's going to be up to either whoever the new coach is. If it's Kellen Moore, up to him. And I hope that Kellen Moore will not be controlling over the offensive coordinator and let the offense coordinator do his damn job. Do your damn job and let him coach his damn offense.
It's
his
his
offense. Let him coach it.
He's
Just
in
like
charge
Mike
of
Zimmer
it.
should let Kubiak coach the offense as well here. Any final thoughts anymore?
No, I think that's about it.
All right. Say goodbye to your fans.
Thanks for watching, everybody, and stay tuned for the next podcast when we find out about the new coaching staff. So it's going to be interesting. So,
Have a good night, everybody.
let's go Vikes.